Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkeys Outdoors. Get all your hound hunting needs at conkeys.com. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. So who you hunting tonight?
Oh, I'm hunting Rex. He's actually my boy's dog. He's the one that my daughter has hunted in some of the PKC hunts and stuff and done some winning with him. But he's actually my boy's dog, but my boy's only 6, so he's not quite ready to be handling him yet. And my daughter's she's 11, and she's had him in a couple different PKC hunts and stuff. But
Nice.
I'm hunting him and a little half bred. He's a mountain cur, and he's out of Tom Smith cash dog.
Yep.
He's half walker, or she actually half walker and half mountain cur. I'm hunting her tonight too.
Nice.
But she's just a pup. She's about 6 months old.
Yeah, because when I interviewed Tom, you had just picked that female up.
Yep. Yeah, we. I think that was the first mountain cur that had been bred to cash, and
Okay.
those pups turned out pretty nice. There were 6 of them, and all 6 of them was treeing at 4 months old. We're
Nice.
mainly going to squirrel hunt all of them, but
Mm-hmm.
the female that we got, she kind of opens on the ground a little more than what we wanted. So, and we didn't want to get rid of her because she was the only female in the group. So if we wanted to breed, we wanted to breed to something down the road, I wanted to keep her around where I had that possibility. So
Yeah.
I just decided to make her a coon dog, or see if she will make coon dog. But she's treating squirrels with the rest of them, here around the house when she was 4 months old. But
That's pretty good. Cash seems like he's a pretty good reproducer, that's for sure.
yeah, I think about everything they've bred him to, he's thrown some really nice pups from what I've seen, and he hadn't been bred a whole lot. And the ones that he has been bred to, they've been doing a lot of winning.
Yeah. No, I know in the episode of Tom, he kind of mentioned some of the winnings of cash pups, and I know watching, social media, he's mentioned different hunts, like world hunts and stuff, and how many cash pups have made it into, something like the NSD world hunts or placed in different things. And he said they definitely seem to be doing well, that's for sure.
Yeah, they have, and there's a couple of them, that like Cleo, that's just been super dominant. But he hadn't been. The only thing that's, as far as hounds goes, that's even close to him on the sires reproducing is the Woody dog, and Woody's been bred a whole lot more than Cash. So
yeah,
the fact that he's even close in the reproducing, it says a lot for him, in my opinion. But
definitely.
But he throws that heads up style that everybody wants for a squirrel dog.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how those pups turn out for you. A little more age on them, see how they do in the competition world.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about them. Me and Dane England, we were partnered on the female that we took up there, and we specifically made that cross, for competition dogs. We're kind of new to the competition hunting, and we were kind of breeding something that we wanted to compete with, because we both just have squirrel dogs and have had squirrel dogs forever, but we wanted something that get hooked a little quicker, and hunt a little harder and a little bigger mouth. And so we took the best female we had up there to Cash, and so far we're happy with them. D. Patton's got one of them that's really looking pretty nice, and I think he's planning on taking him to the NSD World.
Nice.
And hunting him in the junior hunt in March. So we'll see how he does.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I don't know if he's getting treed and treeing squirrels, but he's not tight enough yet for me to be hauling him to town, but I think it'll come. It's tough here where I'm at. We got real short timber, and our squirrels are wild, and it's easy for them pups to see them because the timber's so small, and getting one to stay tight is pretty tough.
No, I understand. And at the same point, it's not like you're close to a lot of hunts, so and it's not like you're close to Tom to take that female. You know, how long of a drive was that?
I think it's about 14 hours if you don't stop.
Yeah.
And so I think it took us about a little over 15 hours to drive up there. And Tom was super good to us. We drove up there, and he let us stay the night at his house. And Cash is kind of quirky when it comes to breeding a female. And when I talked to Tom about breeding to him, he said, "Man, I don't know. I hate for you to drive all the way up here and not get her bred." And I was pretty adamant on it, and I said, "Well, I'll bring her up there and drop her off, and just leave her the whole heat cycle, and you can do your best to get her bred. And if it don't work, then it just don't work." And that's what we did. And I dropped her off, and my wife drove up with me the first time, and we drove up there and stayed the night at Tom's, and drove back the next day. So we was in the truck for 24 hours or more than 24 hours, basically, other than sleeping that night. I think we got to Tom's about 1 o'clock in the morning and dropped her off and stayed the night and left about 9 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah.
Drove home. And then about a month later or so, me and Dane went back up there and picked her up after he got her bred. So, but nice. He was right. It took him, there was several days rocked along there where Tom said he'd just come out of the doghouse and kind of look at her and not show any interest. I was kind of getting nervous. I'm like, man, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but he ended up breeding her.
Oh, so. Good. Glad to hear it.
But no, we don't have a whole lot of hunts around here. We have 3 NSD divisions in Oklahoma, and one of them, I'm the president of the club here, and we host, 5 hunts a year here out of our club, and then there's one in OK, Oklahoma, and then one in Marietta. The Marietta one that just started up this year, and
okay,
they've only had a couple hunts, but I'm not too far from Hazen either. I go there sometimes and hunt with the LBK guys at Arkansas division.
Okay. Not too bad then. Well, before we get too far into this, why don't you introduce yourself, Lane?
My name's Lane Williams, and I'm from Okemah, Oklahoma, and I'm 35 years old, and got 2 kids, and been married for 12 years. I have an awesome wife that lets me hunt pretty much whenever I want. So can't complain about that.
No, not at all. So you've been packing around some mountain curs by the looks of it from the outside looking in for quite a while. How'd you get started in the mountain curs and squirrel dogs? And
well, I actually grew up coon hunting. I've been coon hunting with hounds longer than anything. But I don't know, I'm like a 5th generation coon hunter. My grandpa and his dad and my dad, and even my great grandpa was a coon hunter too. And I live in his place. We just recently bought a 100-year-old farmhouse
nice.
And I'm living in my great granddad's place, but they used to coon hunt here. We live in a little pecan bottom, but I grew up coon hunting and with hounds, and then I got into the cur dogs when I was an adult, just mainly because of having a job and everything else, and not being able to stay out as late, and just the easy handle, and a lot of our hunting property got busted up, and you couldn't hunt anywhere like you could when I was young. You could pretty much turn loose, pull over on the side of the road and turn loose on anybody's place, and nobody really cared. But those days are kind of over. So I got into the cur dogs and started pleasure hunting them, and I've had quite a few of them. Had some good ones and some bad ones, but I've I've got some terriers too, and done some terrier stuff,
Okay.
and my dad's a canine handler. He's done that for like 30 years. He trains canines, and he trains canine handlers on how to handle dogs and stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been around, hounds and working dogs, and even cow dogs too. I rodeoed in college and high school and stuff, and been around a lot of cow dogs, and just I enjoy seeing any kind of working dog really. And if I see one that I ain't had before, I kind of want to try it out. I've had duck dogs and everything.
Yeah.
But tree dogs are my passion. That's what I love the most.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think, you were saying about the enjoying any kind of working dog. You talking to enough people, I think that's a pretty common thread, A lot of guys, even
Oh,
if
yeah.
they coon hunt or they squirrel hunt, or whatever, but then they still like seeing any good working dog. So
Yeah, I'm the type that every dog's got to have a job.
mm-hmm.
My wife, my wife went through several little house dogs that I just couldn't get along with them, and finally I told her, I said, "Why don't you let me pick you out a dog, and I'll pick something that you'll like, and I can give it a job too, and maybe everybody will get along with it." So I ended up going and getting her a Jag,
Yeah.
and she loves that little dog, and that we got into the whole terrier deal and the ground game, and we went to Tyler, Texas, to the terrier trials, and
Yep.
kind of went full force into that deal. But that's a lot of fun too. My kids just about like the ground work more than they do squirrel hunting and coon hunting.
Yeah, I would like to try it, but I honestly don't see me ever jumping ship. Looks like a lot of
No,
work.
yeah, and I think it depends a whole lot on where you're doing it at. Like here, and I do have to dig her out a lot, but it's digging her out here is a lot different than some of the northern states where they're digging 10-foot holes or something.
Yeah.
She gets in creek bank holes and root balls in the creek banks and stuff like that, and normally I just dig out just far enough. Normally she's within an arm's reach or
Okay.
maybe a little deeper, but I might have to dig a couple feet to be able to get within arm's reach where I can grab her. But I'm
That's
not
not too
digging.
bad.
I'm not digging over my head to her or nothing like that.
I've seen some big holes dug.
Yeah, I have too, and I was scared to death when I first got her. And I treated her just like all the other dogs that we have around here. When they're young, I just let them run loose,
Mm-hmm.
and till they get to really start hunting all the time, and then I'll pin them up and start taking them. But she'd get to where she'd be gone for hours, and she'd come back to the house, and she'd have a rabbit or something, and she'd just be covered in dirt. You can tell she's been in a hole, and I'd heard all the stories, about how kind of suicidal they can be, like getting a hole and not ever quit,
Mm-hmm.
and I was worried that I was going to end up losing her, so I was always trying to keep her at my feet, when we let her out and stuff, but she got smart. She did get eat up a few times, and like eat up pretty bad. And I figure it's probably coons, but she learned that, like, if I just turn her loose, she's running loose around the yard, she'll get after mice and little things that she can handle, but she don't go get on something big unless she's got the collar on and she knows I'm gonna come dig her out. So
Okay.
she got smart pretty quick. So if I
Well,
put
that's
that
good.
tracking collar on her and turn her loose, she'll go get in a hole somewhere where I've got to go get her. But if she don't have it on, she just kind of stays pretty close around the house.
Yeah. These dogs are pretty smart, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how many holes it took for her being in there for hours and hours and getting eat up and me never coming to her before she found out that that's not a good idea unless she's got that collar on. Because I
Exactly.
wouldn't know where she was. She just
Yeah.
disappeared. But
No, I
she
understand.
figured it out.
Well, that's good. Now, is that your first terrier?
She's my first terrier, and I've had another one since then that didn't work out, but she was the first. I got lucky and got a good one right off the bat, and I got her as a puppy. We got
Nice.
her from a guy named Mark Allison. He lives down in Houston, so we drove 12 hours down there to get her.
Okay.
But he does a lot of tracking with them. He works on a big game ranch and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they use them for recovery.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of that too with my cur dogs, and that was when I got her, that was the job I was going to give her I told my wife I wanted to get something that we could give a job, and she does. She will track deer. We put her on some deer. This last deer season was her first season, and she tracks really good. But the ground game was something that came natural to her, and she liked it, and she kind of just taught us about it. We didn't really know much about it. Grew up around tree dogs, but
Yeah.
she kind of introduced us to that just by accident, and my kids love it. They love digging her out, and hearing her down in the ground digging and getting after something, and they like it. It's fun, and the terrier trials is very kid friendly, thing.
Yeah.
It's so visual. It's not like a coon hunt or something where you turn a dog loose in the woods and they disappear until you go.
Mm-hmm.
They get treed and you walk to them. The terrier trials is all visible stuff. They have the high jump, and you can watch your dog compete in that, and they go to ground tunnel, and they have a retrieve and a hog bay and all that stuff, and they can watch the dog compete in every event. And
Mm-hmm.
the kids just loved it.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we had some luck. We got lucky down there, and she ended up winning the go to ground in the puppy division, the first one we took her to. So
Nice.
they were pretty pumped up about that.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter I guess she's the lucky one. I haven't been competition hunting real long, but I've been doing it a couple of years, and I've done very little winning. But my daughter wins everything she goes to. She's won the go to ground deal with the terrier, and she's won some PKC stuff with Rex, and she's won some squirrel hunts and
Nice.
some all kind. I mean, she seems like she wins about everywhere she goes.
That's one thing I definitely wanted to mention, because she went and competed in a 4-wheeler hunt and did pretty well.
Yeah, she did. She got in the final four in Lexington, Tennessee, and it was, I don't know how many dogs was in that hunt, but it was a bunch, and it was bigger than any squirrel hunt that I've ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, and it was a hound hunt. It was only cur dog in it, and
Mm-hmm.
she made it to the final four. She did good.
That's awesome.
But she, like I said, she's got some pretty good luck when it comes to them competitions. I wish I had the luck that she's got.
Well, if she's got all the luck, just let her keep handling them.
I know. We can handle the same dogs, 10 times, and I'll get beat every time, and she can handle the same dog and win everything she puts him in.
There you go.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, she's pretty good at it.
Well, that's awesome.
She has a knack for it.
Some people do.
Yeah, I know. She makes me proud in them hunts, because she doesn't let them push her around or anything, because she's a girl. I've had even at Lexington there was a dog barking, and he didn't have a very good mouth, and the judge was saying, he said, I need a call on that dog, and she was hunting a cur dog, against these hounds, and
Yep.
and none of the kids said anything, and the judge looked at Lottie, and he said, if I was guessing, I'd guess that's that cur dog, just because the dog didn't have a very good mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of looked at him and kind of shook her head. And the other kid that had the dog that was actually barking, Dad kind of spoke up in the back and he said, that's not the cur dog. And I was proud of her, because most kids, if if a judge says, "Hey, I think that's your dog," they'd go ahead and call it, but she knew it wasn't her dog, so
Yeah.
I was proud of her.
No, that's awesome. Now, I was fortunate enough to go to the UKC's Youth Nationals this past year, and actually, the Final Four, there was 2 young girls in there, and they both did really well. So I would definitely say there's a lot of young ladies that are doing well in this sport.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't matter if you're a young lady or a young man. They can all get out there and do it and be good at it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
I'd encourage. I think there needs to be more guys with the cur dogs, that hunt in the PKC hunts, because they're really great. They're really good hunts. There's a lot of them. There's a lot more PKC hunts around here than there are squirrel hunts.
Yeah.
And it's a good group of guys. And if a lot of guys think that a cur dog can't compete in them, but I mean, I feel like we got a chance just about any time we put him in one. I mean, he's usually not going to strike very high, but there's a lot of world champion hounds that are quarter strike dogs. So
Yep.
that's to me, that's not really a good excuse to not put one in just because of strike points. That's always what I hear people when I know some guys that got cur dogs that are a lot better coon dogs than Rex, and they won't put them in the hunts, and they're worried about strike points or whatever. And like, man, that don't matter. If he'll tree a coon and he'll stay by himself and has a coon, consistently, they can compete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're gonna get beat some, but
yeah,
heck, I mean, they all do. Even the world champions don't win them all.
Exactly. Now I got my one little jip. If she ever starts clicking good, I do want to put her in a couple, because I don't have any cur hunts. Well, I say that, but they're starting to have a couple of NSD hunts that are about an hour and a half from here, but otherwise there's no cur night hunts. And my club, we've had a couple, or we've had one, and we're about to have our second one, just because of me and another guy in our club have a couple cur dogs, but otherwise there's really nothing around. So PKC's kind of one of the few options I have.
Yeah, they're fun hunts, and our club is having some non-sanctioned hunts for entries to some of the bigger PKC hunts. Like we're doing a handler race, and we're having 6 open events. They are PKC sanctioned, but the handler that has the most money won gets a entry to $1,000 entry pro hunt that we're having.
Nice.
So you can go to those 6. The 6 hunts are $55, and you can enter in those, and they're one a month. And if you get the most money won, you get $1,000 entry to a pro hunt. So you get a chance to win. You get in the Final Four and split that hunt, you're looking at $10,000. And you ain't got nothing in it but the $55 entries you pay to the 6 open hunts. But most clubs, you guys are going to hunt them anyway.
Yeah.
So, and we've done that, and we just had a $20 entry. It was a non-sanctioned 12-dog hunt, and the winner of that got a $400 entry to a pro hunt that we put on. So
very nice.
We try to do that. Get the guys that don't really have the money or don't want to spend the money on some of the bigger entry fees. It gives them a chance to hunt some of them bigger hunts.
No, I like that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's fun, and it draws more people to your club too, because they want to come and get a chance to, they're hunting for something that's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, because you're not only hunting for whatever that night is, you're hunting for something beyond that.
Yeah, and it gives guys incentive to not split, too. If you win, because it's a handler race and it's the most money won. So, if you're needing more than whatever the split is, you can decide to hunt it off and go for that bigger money to try to move ahead in the handler race. So it's pretty cool cool deal. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Conkey's Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkey's motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkey's carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well. Now I know out there you've also run some other critters. You've got squirrels, you got coons, but you've treated some other stuff.
Yeah, my dogs are kind of known around here for being pretty trashy.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's trashy. I mean,
well, no, they're tree game, and well, like Rex is he was fun to hunt when he was young. I kind of wish he had some of that back. He's kind of got a little straighter on me now, but when he was a pup, I mean, he treed everything. I've treed bobcats with him. He's treed gray fox. He's treed He treated groundhog, which I know a lot of people further east, that's a regular thing. But that was the first one I'd ever even seen. Was the one he treed. So he treed that, and he caught a coyote in an NSD squirrel hunt one time, and I'd had guys, I tell that story sometime, and guys will be like, "There ain't no cur dog out there that can catch a coyote." And I'm like, "Well, I've got proof. There was other people there. I was in a sanctioned hunt when he did it."
Yeah.
So he's pretty gamey little dog.
That's awesome.
He's straightened out a lot since then. But
now, where did he come from?
I raised him from a pup, or I didn't. I got him as a pup. I guess I didn't make the cross, but he's out of a dog from Arkansas that was a Buffalo River Penny and Buffalo River Sam cross.
Okay.
Was his daddy, and then his mama is out of a backwoods boondock female.
Okay.
So he's just an old CBA dog.
Mm-hmm.
But he was one of them ones that started early and was real gamey. Anything that went up tree, he'd tree it. And I like to let my dogs be pretty natural, and like I said, I let them run loose and let them start natural, and I try to keep them as natural as I can keep them. And he was fun to hunt for a long time, and the more squirrels and coons that I killed to him, the more he kind of quit some of that other stuff. But he used to be a lot of fun to hunt.
Yeah. Nah, see, I'm not a big competition hunter, so granted, we don't have gray fox or bobcats right here where I live, but my dog was treating them, I'd be all about it.
Yeah, it's fun, and we have a bunch of them. Bobcats, we've got a bunch. Our limit's 20. We can trap during the first season. We can trap 20 of them, or even if you're treeing them, you can harvest 20 of them during first season. So, that's pretty good numbers. I think Texas is probably the only place that's got more than us. But we got quite a few of them now. We don't have a whole lot of gray fox because we have so many coyotes. But he's treated one of them too, and he was just a pup. He was 6 months old when he treated that gray fox.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But he's dead silent on track, and he can push one pretty good, so they don't never know he's coming until it's too late, and they just go up. I've hunted with hounds for years and we'd run them, them bobcat races and stuff, and they just run them forever and never really tree them. And if they did tree them, they wouldn't stay treed but it seems like when I switched over to cur dogs, we put them in a tree more often than I think it's because they don't open on track, but I mean, I could be wrong. But
no, I mean, you see I would say you see more squirrel hunters treeing bobcats than you ever do, coon hounds.
Yeah, and I think part of it has something to do with the daytime too, because I hunt my cur dogs at night too. I coon hunt just as much as I squirrel hunt, and I've never treed one at night.
Yeah.
So I think there's maybe something different, to do with it. I don't know what it is, but it seems like in the daytime they'll hold in a tree better. I have, um, I have treed them before, or thought that I treat them and had them bail out at night, even with my cur dogs. But I've never actually seen one in a tree at night.
Yeah.
In the daytime, they seem like they hold better.
Nah, that's kind of what I've seen. Just looking at different people and talking to different people.
Mhm. Yeah, and I bet you, the more popular the hounds get in the squirrel hunts and stuff, that there'll probably be a lot more people hunting them during the daytime, and they'll probably tree some bobcats too
Mm-hmm.
in areas where they've got them.
That's definitely possible.
But I think the reason why I've treated so many of them is I used to put out a bunch of feeders for squirrels
Okay.
and coons too,
Mm-hmm.
and then bobcats get to hunting them feeders, and then when you're hunting them young dogs over them feeders, they'll run in there and ambush them bobcats that are hanging out in the area hunting them feeders.
Yep.
And I think that is a lot of it, but you got to be careful, baiting the squirrels and stuff around here, because the hawks and owls and
Yep.
bobcats and everything will start hunting them.
Bringing all the predators too.
Yeah, they learn pretty quick. It's just like them, hawks learn when they see them tractors and stuff cutting hay. They start hunting around them, and
Mm-hmm.
they learn them feeders pretty quick too, and they'll start picking them. You put a trail camera on one of them feeders, and you'll get pictures of them hawks and stuff swooping down there, and you might not get lucky enough to get a picture of them with the actual squirrel, but you'll get pictures of them swooping down at it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
But the bobcats too. Most of the bobcats that I've treed was, when I had squirrel feeders out.
Okay. Well, you got any good stories for us?
Oh, shoot! I've probably got a bunch of stories. I don't know. It's hard when you put you on the spot about about it, but oh shoot, I don't know. What kind of you want, a coon hunting story or
I don't care. Whatever you got.
whatever I got? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did not too long ago. I was riding my mule, and I was squirrel hunting, and my buddy Dane, he'd kind of been giving me a hard time about the mule and everything, and I was riding on. We got a river that runs through here, the North Canadian River, and I was way down on the river and long ways from the truck. And I was hunting that cash pup, and he got treed up there on a spot where I couldn't really get my mule to very easy, so I just tied her up on the bank down on the bottom of the river, and I went up the river bank, and I got almost to my dog, and about the time I got to him, the squirrel bailed out on the ground, and he took off and was running that squirrel like a deer, and I come back to where my mule was at, and my mule's gone. There was nothing but her headstall sitting there, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I had to walk all the way back to my truck, which was a long ways, and I was, the whole time I was not knowing if my mule was going to be back at the truck,
Yeah.
or if she went down because the river cuts through a lot of different places, different properties and stuff, and there's no fences stopping it. So if the mule gets out on the river and starts running down it, there ain't no telling where they'll end up. So I was just in panic the whole time, walking along, several miles back to the truck, just hoping that she went back to the truck. And Dane had been giving me a hard time. She was kind of a green mule, and I told him, one of the things I was worried about with her is she's kind of hard to catch. And I said, if she ever gets away from me in the woods, I don't know if I'll be able to catch her. And sure enough, she, for some reason, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was when that squirrel bailed out, and the dog got so fired up, running him on the ground that she sat back on the headstall and she broke is what she did.
Oh wow.
But anyway, I walked several miles back to the truck, and she's just sitting there by the trailer. and and then I was talking to Dane when I was on the phone. And he was laughing at me, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. If she's not there, I don't know where I'm gonna start, where she went. He's like, well, I guess you'll find out if you can catch her or not when you when you find her.
Yep.
And luckily, I got back to the truck, and I think she was. I don't know. It shook her up just as much as it did me, I guess. Because when I got back to the truck, I just walked right up to her and grabbed her, and and she acted like it didn't bother her. But it was a bad feeling. It was one of them things when you walk back to where she was tied and see she wasn't there. Just my gut went into knots.
Oh,
Thinking,
I'm
oh
sure.
man. And I was right on the river too, so I was like, it was the worst possible spot for her to get away from me. It wasn't like I was in a fenced-in property or something where she
Oh
could get
yeah.
away and be fine. But she could have ran for miles in any direction, and she went right back to the truck. So
Well, that's
I
good.
got lucky on that one.
You know, earlier I even mentioned I wanted to talk about your mules, and I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, my daughter, she's got a mule. She rides with me too, and my boy, and we don't hunt off mules all the time because I like to kind of cast hunt my dogs. And
Yeah.
if you hunt them off mules a whole lot, they'll get to where they're not real rangy. They'll hunt close to you, and I don't mind that for pleasure hunting, but I do both a pleasure hunt. Well, I pleasure hunt a lot more than I competition hunt, but I
Mm-hmm.
do go to some competition hunts, so I try to keep
Yep.
my dogs where I can cast them. So I don't mule hunt all the time, but it probably is my favorite way to squirrel hunt or coon hunt. It's fun. You can cover some ground, and you can really put a lot of miles and a lot of time on a young dog,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. And I've got a pretty good mule too. But
Have you always hunted off mules, or what got you into that?
no, I haven't always hunted off mules, but like I said earlier, I used to rodeo in high school and college. I rode bulls and bucking horses, and I actually um, trained a bunch of horses when I was rodeoing. That was kind of how I made my extra money, was breaking horses, and I trained a bunch of race horses and stuff. So I grew up around horses and training horses and breaking them. So when I got old enough to have my own place to keep one, I didn't really want a horse. I was one of them things, like growing up around them, I knew how high maintenance they were and how expensive they were and everything. And since I like to hunt, I was like, I'm not getting a horse. I'm gonna get a mule. And so I went and we've got one of the biggest mule sales in the country here in Oklahoma. It's in a town called Ada, Oklahoma, and they have
Mm-hmm.
have it twice a year. They have a spring sale and a fall sale, and it's a 3 day long deal. They have a trail competition on the first day, and they score the mules and everything, and then they have the sale, and the sale will be 2 days. 2 days after that, and they have a catalog that they'll advertise the mules in for.
Nice.
They start selling catalog entries a couple months before the sale, and they've got a Facebook page, and everybody that's got a mule in the catalog will be posting them on Facebook and stuff, and it's a big deal, and they by the time the sale gets there, there's a bunch of buyers show up, and it's like I said, a 3 day long deal. But I went down there, and of course I couldn't afford one of the good mules, so I bought a couple green mules and started from there, and broke them and started hunting off of them. It's just like a dog, best way to do it's just put miles on them. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we did.
Nice.
But so I was familiar with training horses, and mules not much different. So I mean they can be. Some people will tell you it's a lot different, but in my opinion, it's just you got to be a little bit more patient, and you can't really force a mule to do anything that you don't want to do. But long as you make him think it's his idea and he knows it ain't gonna hurt him, you can get him to do it just like a horse. You just can't force him.
Mm-hmm.
Or a horse you can kind of force him to do it. But
Gotcha.
But I love hunting off of a mule. It's a lot of fun, and it's a real successful way to do it too. Especially if you got a lot of ground to hunt, it's fun. You can really be successful.
See, I have this romantic vision of hunting off of mules, but I don't hunt big properties, and two, I just don't want to have to keep a mule because I don't have enough of a use for one. So if for some reason ever I move, you'll be one of the people that I call for advice on training the mule.
Yeah, and as far as mules go, and keeping one, they're about as low maintenance and as you can get. I spend way more money on my dogs than I do my mules, and I think a dog's probably more expensive than a mule is. I mean, they're pretty easy to keep, and you can keep a mule in a dry lot and just feed it hay year round, and that's about all they need really.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got any property at all, you can let them. Like I've got 40 acres here that I've let my mules go on, and I have to certain times of the year I have to lot them up just because they'll get too fat on the grass when it's a good growing season for the grass. But
yeah,
they're pretty low maintenance. I don't really feed them unless I'll put a little feed in the bucket to catch them. But other than that, they're pretty low maintenance.
Good to know.
But yeah, you can spend a lot more money on a dog, with worming on it every month and all that stuff. Mules they're pretty low maintenance. It's fun if you ever get one. You want to come down and hunt? Come on down, or if you just want to come hunting, I can find one to put you on. You come down here and hunt with us, ride on.
Yeah, it'd be a long trip trailer and a mule from my house to yours. That's for sure.
Yeah, I thought about that as I was saying it, but if you're ever this way and I can get one for you to ride with us and we can go ride.
That'd be pretty fun. Trust me, if I ever get out there, I will. So.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. I think everybody ought to try it.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a lot of good times on a mule.
Yeah. Well, I know you're looking to go hunting tonight, so I don't want to hold you up too much. If you got anything else, we can continue talking. But if you don't, we can wrap this up so you can go.
All right, man. I don't have anything. I appreciate you. Even wanting to talk to me. I'm pretty much a nobody when it comes to the squirrel hunting stuff. Like I said, my daughter's done more winning than I have. I've got some good pleasure dogs, but other than that, there's a lot of people out there that's done a lot more winning and a lot more successful than me. So I appreciate you even wanting to talk to me about it. But I like talking dogs, so anytime you want to.
No, you definitely are making a name for yourself. Like we said, you don't have a lot of hunts out your way for one, so it's hard to it's hard to win a bunch of competition hunts when you don't have them. So, but I think you're definitely making a name for yourself. And like I said, I was very impressed when you posted about your daughter being in that Final Four with the cur dog. I was like, there we go. That's what we need.
Yeah, she was pretty pumped about it, and there was a lot of jaws dropped when we brought the cur dog in that clubhouse for the Final Four picture. They was like, "Holy cow, what do we got here?" And there was a guy come up there, and he was kind of teasing her and offering to buy her dog and stuff, and she kept telling him no. Of course she's like, he's not my dog, but it's my brother's dog, and my boy, he wouldn't sell him for his, money don't mean nothing to him. So
exactly.
There ain't no way he'd sell him. But they were giving her a hard time, and he turned a lot of heads, that's for sure. And then he was in Pro Hound, and people can't believe it when they see a cur dog. But honestly, I mean, I don't really understand why people are so amazed by it. I mean, as long as you got a dog that'll tree a coon, and mainly, if they'll just stay by themselves, and it don't matter what kind of dog it is, they can win the hunts if you put them in them, and
Yep.
they're not going to win every one of them. But there's like I said, there's a lot of cur coon dogs out there. I'm sure that are a lot better dogs than Rex, and they just hadn't been in the hunts. He's nothing special. Just he's had the opportunities that a lot of them haven't because we put him in them.
Yep. Now I had a old cur dog. This is she died probably 6 years ago. But she was nothing spectacular. She was just a good pleasure dog. But I hunt with all hound guys around here. Just pleasure hunting. And there was a few nights if we would have been keeping score, she would have put it on the hounds.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, what Rex does is, he's not a real deep hunting dog. I mean, he does go, some people would say he does, but if you've hunted with very many hounds, he's not a real rangy dog. I mean, most of the time he's going to get treed within 400 to, 700 yards, and usually if he's on a track, he might go further than that, but most of the time if he ain't hit nothing, he'll start circling back in, and he might come in, might leave one direction, make a 500-yard circle, and come back, check in, and go 500 yards the other direction. But
yeah,
a lot of times what happens in them hunts is them hounds are cut out of there foot racing, and a lot of them are barking every breath, and they'll strike for 100, and they're leaving out of there. And most of the time they'll get treed before him. Sometimes they'll get treed even before he's struck in. Well, when you start walking to him, though, that's his jam. Now he's making those loops around, and he'll tree them coon. He'll fall treed behind them, on them coons that they ran past. And most of the time, he's gonna have one.
Mm-hmm.
And if they make any mistakes, they're making big mistakes because they're striking for 100. And if they slick tree, then they're 200 in the hole. And he don't. Most of the time he's gonna have a coon. So if he strikes for 25 and has one, and they make any kind of mistake, they're bigger mistakes. And then even if he makes a mistake too, they're usually smaller mistakes because he strikes for a quarter, and if he makes a slick, he can still tree a coon and still beat them if they're making mistakes, and they're 100 strike mistakes. So that 100 strike can win you some hunts, but it can lose you some just as many of them if you make any mistakes. They're big mistakes,
Yep.
And from my experience, most of them 100 strike dogs that are fast and action packed like that, they're a lot more likely to make a mistake than a more of an honest strike dog that's gonna, be a little more honest and work that track a little bit slower. When he gets treated, he's probably gonna have one.
Yep.
That 100 strike dog that blows through the country and gets treated in the first 5 minutes of the hunt, he might have one and put it on you, and he might not.
Yep.
You never know. But it's just a game that we play just like anything else. It's like squirrel hunts or something. You're going to win some and lose some.
Exactly.
But I encourage anybody that's got a cur dog with a tree coon to just go to them. And, if nothing else, you turn a lot of heads, and you make them guys sweat when you pull that cur dog out of that box, because they do not want to get beat by a cur dog. They get the sweat as soon as you break him out.
That's for sure.
It's fun, and then when you do, win a cast with a cur dog or something, you feel accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good accomplishment.
Oh yeah, that much more,
Mhm. We're going to take Rex to Hazen in February and put him in that UMCA hunt and see how he does there. And
okay.
We hunted in it last year, and he got fourth in the coon hunt. I had to work on Saturday, so I didn't get to hunt him in the squirrel hunt, but I hunted him Friday night in the coon hunt, I think, or it might have been vice versa. I can't remember what that one. The squirrel hunt day I had to work, so I didn't get to hunt him in that. But he got beat by Joe Walker's dog that won it, and he was a world champion at the time, and he won it that night and made him a 2-time world champion. But we got beat by him in the first round. But he ended up placing fourth. I think is what he got in it. But
Nice.
we're gonna try him again in it this year, and hopefully, I'll get to put him in the squirrel hunt and in the coon hunt.
There you go. Well, good luck.
Maybe we'll try him for a combo dog or something.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. Like I said,
Yep.
I like talking dogs, so anytime.
I appreciate you coming on, and good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
As always, be sure to check out the sponsors, Conkeys, Full Cry, and W for all your hound hunting needs. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.